Ray Bradbury was very much of the belief that all public assistance should be taken away from schools and universities and dumped into libraries instead.
Wow. That's I don't know if that's pretty extreme.
Well, he liked to make extreme comments in order to get people to think differently from, you know.
Gosh. Okay.
Well, see, the thing was that Ray, I can call that because I didn't know him, Ray was primarily self-educated through libraries. And, you know, as to a great degree I was myself.
Did you go to college?
No.
Oh, well, that'll do it then. Okay.
I mean, he might have taken one or two night classes or something, but I don't know that he ever completed college.
That makes sense then.
He might have done, but at any rate, everything he really learned, he learned in libraries, he said. So, in fact, when I was younger, I used to bump into him all the time, either at the downtown library at UCLA.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's an interesting story there. This isn't germane to anything, but the old man gets to reminisce about a great person of the past he met. I really loved Ray Bradbury's work when I was in high school. I still do. As far as I was concerned, until he died, he was our greatest living American writer.
Wow.
In my humble opinion.
That's a statement.
Yeah. So.
What are your favorite works?
Oh, gosh. Martian Chronicles, of course. Something Wicked This Way Comes. And then so many different short stories that are collected in different collections. But the Halloween Tree I very much enjoyed. Fahrenheit 451.
Of course. Of course.
I mean, he was very much a voice of sanity in a world that went bad in the 60s. In addition to everything else, I mean, you know, he made his great claim to fame as a science fiction / fantasy writer. But people don't realize that Dandelion Wine, that's another. People don't realize that he was very much in favor of normality. You know, and one of his great lines, which cracked me up whenever I heard it, which was several times, he would announce to shocked audiences that he was the world's greatest lover. And they would all look at him like, what? But then he would say, well, no, because of all the many things I love. And he would tick them off, you know, books, movies, audience, just go on down the line. You know, obviously, the more things you love, the greater a lover you are.
Yeah.
And the man loved life, he really did. So at any rate, I was a great fan of his in high school. I was also keeping bees at the time. This enters into the story.
Keeping bees?
Yeah, you know, little buzzy things.
You're a beekeeper?
I was, retired.
Wow, I never knew that. That's awesome.
So, stuff that comes out, I guarantee you all the chicks in human relations know. Anyway, I was reading a book at the time called The ABC and XYZ of Beekeeping.
Okay.
By A.E. and E.I. Root, father and son Root. Anyway, so I wrote him a letter, a fan letter, and I got back this form letter card saying, I get so many letters, I can't really respond to them all, but thank you for your interest. And then he'd written in pen, but if you'd like to see me, come down to Hollywood High, and this is such a date I'm giving a lecture. So I did. And I get down there, and this was the only book I had, right? So at the time I was reading a lot of Kipling. It was another one of my favorites. And so during the questions and answers, I said, you know, Mr. Bradbury, what do you think of Rudyard Kipling? And he said, I'm very glad you asked that question. So when I was about your age, I took the bus all the way to New York City to see Lord Dunsany, another fantasy writer, who was giving a talk. And I asked him who was, in his opinion, was the greatest writer in English of our time. And he said, young man, Rudyard Kipling. I see no reason to disagree with that.
Wow.
So afterwards, I went up to him, and he said, thanks very much for that question. I really enjoyed it. I said, well, I appreciate that, but sir, I've got nothing of yours to sign. I've just got this book. So he looks at it, it's a big, thick hardcover. He goes, I'll sign it. opens up, and he writes Ray Bradbury on the title page. And then he looks and he goes, we don't need these guys. And he scratches out their names and writes "by" over his. So I have the only copy of the ABC and XYZ of Beekeeping by Ray Bradbury. But from that time on, I would run into him at the Central Library at UCLA and so on. And then as I got older and other things, finally, I was able to anthologize one of my favorite pieces of his in The Muse in the Bottle. And it was funny because I'd gotten a letter from, I don't want to say who it was, but it was the grandson of James Joyce, who's a writer I do not like. And I didn't want to approach him, but the publisher insisted. And the guy wants £1,000 sterling.
Gosh.
For the piece I had in mind. And he wrote me a letter saying, I don't think that's too much to ask for the work of the greatest writer of the 20th century. I wrote back and said, you're absolutely right. Too bad it wasn't your grandfather. But I couldn't help myself. But you know how much Ray Bradbury's agent asked me for? Because she said, I'll get back to you.
How much?
$5.
$5?
Yeah.
Why $5?
Well, I was jaw-dropped. I mean, the greatest living
Yeah.
American writer, only $5, really?
Yeah.
So I called him back and he said, well, to tell you the truth, it's because, number one, I really like the piece you chose. It's one of my favorites, too. And secondly, it's an honor to have my work appear with some of the writers in that anthology.
Wow.
Living and Dead. Now, this was a man who was, as I say, the greatest living writer in the United States at that time, my way of thinking. And a humbler man you couldn't have imagined. Because he really loved literature, he loved life. And when you do that, the focus is off you and on it.
Mm.